Gather round, you lot. Sue's the name, and welcome to me little place here in Shropshire. Let's have a bit of a sticky beat, shall we? Now, the whole kit and caboodle of this house was really drummed up with a view in mind. Fair dinkum. From the word go, we were dead set on snagging that panorama of the Shropshire Hills. Wanted to drag it right inside the house. That's the beauty of building your own place. See, you can whack together spaces that actually work for you. And as for us, we weren't keen on wasting these bonza views on just a bedroom. No way. And I reckon I might have mentioned before that the kitchen looks a bit, well, minimalist and a bit plain at first glance. But don't you be fooled. She's got a few little surprises up her sleeve. And this is just one of them. We tripped over this 1980s bungalow, right? And it was spot on, absolutely ripper. We fell hook, line, and sinker for the block and the whole box and dice. The countryside, a bonza spot to build a house we've been dreaming of. So we've gone and built this Scandi-inspired beauty, clad in black. It's all calm and restful and inviting and peaceful in here. Might look a bit dark from the outside, but on the inside, it's a whole different story, Cobber. It's all about linking up with the outdoors and soaking up all the light we can get our mitts on. It's a bit of an unusual build, in that it wasn't a traditional job. We went with an SIP build, that's structurally insulated panels, for those playing along at home. It's a cracker of a fast way to build. The actual bones of the house went up in just 9 days. Took us another 12 months to get all the bits and bobs finished and the interior sorted. But at the end of the day, we've ended up with a beaut house that fits the way we want to live like a glove. And it's sort of given a new lease of life to what was here before, you know? Now, you might be scratching your heads wondering why the front of the house is actually the gable end. The reason for that is because the bungalow was on this orientation, and with all the planning restrictions we had to battle, we had to use the base of that to build the current house. So we wanted to try and make it a bit more exciting than just a plain old gable end. If you're keen to follow me down to the bottom here, I'll show you a bit more about how we've done that and the materials we've used on the house. As you get a bit closer to the house, you'll cotton on that it's not actually painted timber. This is Shosugi ban, which is an ancient Japanese art of torching wood. Gives a really nice texture to the timber. It does, brings out all the grain, but it's also dead practical. It's fire resistant and super low maintenance. So it's a top-notch material to use on the exterior, no worries. We've also chucked in some black framing on a couple of windows here, just to jazz up a bit, and give a bit more of a focal point, rather than just being a plain gable end, you know? A big part of the design is the glazing, which lets the light flood into the house. Might seem a bit dark out here, but inside, it's a light-filled, calm, tranquil space. So, let me take you inside and show you around. We wanted to design a house, a Scandi-inspired house that was warm and calm and inviting, a place to kick back and enjoy the surroundings. And for us, it's all about the surroundings and that connection with the outdoors here, Dinky D. So, we got light-filled spaces everywhere throughout the house. Every room's got a view, and it's about linking up and blurring those lines between outside and inside. As we go through the house, you'll notice that there are heaps of spaces that are light-filled and bright. We wanted to keep this through view and not block it in any way. So, instead of going for a solid door, we've gone with a criddle-style door, which is grouse as levels down, which was a bit of a pain before. But instead of blocking the view, we've still got that through view. So, we're constantly keeping that connection with the outdoors all the time. And if we don't want it closed, it just sits open there. We barely even notice it. I love the fact that we've gone with the criddle style, which really fits in well with all the other windows we got here. And throughout the house, you'll cop that we got little nods to that black from the exterior, with little accents here and there. And obviously, the criddle door is one of those. Another one of those details is the black spindles on the stairs. And I just want to take a sec to tell you about the stairs. So, we went with black spindles, which again is a nod to the black cladding and all the other black accents we got in the house. These stairs were a real labor of love. Let me tell you, it was dead hard to get anyone who'd make them for us. We knew exactly what we wanted. I didn't want to go for anything too modern or too overcomplicated in this area. I knew I wanted something that was a classic style that would last. With that in mind, we eventually found someone who'd take on the job. A wonderful joiner who did all this for us. It was a bit of a collaboration, really. The main stairs were MDF. Our lovely joiner came in and did the rest of the work for us, which involved him forming this butte curved handrail, oak handrail, and the spindles and the treads. And the treads are the same wooden flooring as we have throughout the rest of the house. So, a lovely light engineered oak. And we've also thrown in a mirror in the hallway here, which isn't just practical for checking ourselves before we bolt out the door, but we also get the pleasure of seeing the stairs twice and from a different angle, which I absolutely love. Coming through from the hallway, we come into the kitchen. Light oak throughout the rest of the house. But here I felt like that wouldn't really work. I thought the kitchen might get a bit lost. I wanted it to have its own moment to shine, really. So we had a squiz of heaps of different shades of oak and really loved this darker, warmer tone. I reckon it works a treat. I do. It still connects to the rest of the house. But it lets the kitchen have its own little moment. We went for a pretty pared back Scandi style. A little nod to mid-century in here. I didn't want anything too fussy or too complicated. And at first glance, it might look a bit plain and pared back. But there are a few little surprises in here, which I'll obviously walk you through in a bit. Top of the list was an island. A large island with heaps of workspace. We had spent 4 years living in the bungalow, and we had just a tiny little kitchen with no workspace and 2 little rings. So, it was an absolute dream to have something as big as this. I want to go for drawer units here rather than cupboards because I find cupboards a bit hard to organize and find things in, whereas these work a treat. And I think they're a real beaut aesthetic for the look of the island. It's not an overly generous size, and we were a bit concerned it might be a bit narrow. So, I didn't want to have wall cupboards in here. I thought it would feel a bit too closed in. So, instead, we've gone for a floating shelf, which I know is a bit contentious with a lot of people. What I love about this is the fact that we can style it up. We can change the look of the whole room by chucking different things on here. I've got things like a little pestle and mortar, which used to be my grandmother's, which I love having out, a vintage Denby teapot, heaps of other bits and pieces. It's also practical, too, because I have the cups and teapot here all ready to use with the hot water tap. This was something that was on the list, too. It's a space. Don't have to have a kettle. So, having my little teapot here is brilliant, because it's all ready to make cups of tea. Another thing that was really important in the kitchen was the lighting. Not a big fan of spotlights. We had heaps of spotlights in our last home, and I've always regretted it because we never have them on. So we went with these wall lights, which I always get asked a lot about on my Instagram. These were really one of the things that inspired the kitchen. I love the angle of them. And again, we've gone with a warm brass tone on these, which matches a treat with the tap, as well as the wall lights. We've got lighting under the floating shelf. When it came to lighting the island, I really didn't want to go for anything that was too bulky or too in the eye line. At the end of the day, it's all about keeping these views out into the garden. So we've gone with a linear light, which this particular light is a beauty. It has various different settings on it, so we can have it warm or cool. It really is a grouse way to light the area without taking away from what is a star of the show, and that's the outside again. So on this side of the island, a bit different to the other where we went with drawers, we've gone with cupboards here throughout the whole of the kitchen. I really didn't want to have handles as such, and I didn't want to handle this kitchen, which I thought would possibly look a bit too modern. The kitchen company that we worked with, Anthony Lewis, who were a brilliant kitchen company and spent a lot of time on the little details, they came up with these really grouse pull handles, and they just literally just disappear into the design of the kitchen. Really part of the design of the kitchen. Like, we followed those through onto the back wall here with the same pull handles. And I think I mentioned before that at first glance, the kitchen does look a bit pared back and plain. Surprises. And this is one of them. So, this is one of my favorite features in the kitchen. And that's our hidden breakfast cupboard, which has this amazing full back door that completely sits back into the carcass and leaves it all open, ready to use. There's one more little surprise with this wall. Behind here hides our utility, and we really do want to break up the space with a door. So we came up with this design where, for all intents and purposes, it just looks like a bang of cupboards here. But this particular cupboard is a secret door through to the utility. So this is our utility / boot room. It's a utility and boot room. It's only a very small space, but we've managed to pack everything in that we need to. We've got a washer dryer and space for our muddy boots when we come in from the garden. It does what it says on the tin, really. Coming back out of utility into the kitchen. Something I didn't mention earlier was the flooring that we've used throughout the house. In the kitchen and the entrance, we've gone for a large format porcelain tile, which is a beauty practical, particularly living in the countryside. We can come in, we can keep it clean, we can wash it, mop it. Same with the kitchen. We wanted something that was practical here and in the utility, in the living spaces. We wanted to go for something that was a bit warmer and more natural. We've gone with a wide board engineered oak, which works a treat with the underfloor heating that we have on the ground level. Rather than going for a normal oak board, we've actually had these whitewashed. We worked with a company called WFA Flooring, and they were grouse, offering a bespoke service to have the color that we wanted. Our experience of oak boards in our last home was that they started to yellow quite a bit with too much light on them. And obviously, this is a very light space here. Having the whitewash through them keeps them nice and light and prevents all that yellowing that can happen. The dining area is pretty minimal. It's basically just a dining table and the chairs, which is all you want when you've got people here. It's all about the company in it. It's right next to the kitchen. So if I'm cooking, I can still be here listening to the conversation and being part of it. I love to mix old and new, and we've done it a lot throughout the house. We got these vintage Urquhart chairs, which sit a treat with these classic wishbone chairs. At the moment, we've just got this set up for 6, but this is an extending table. So when we have family and friends, we can seat up to 12 people here. It's a ripper social space. From the dining room, we come into the living area. This is a space that we spend most of our evenings. We wanted to have a really cozy feeling here. Somewhere that we felt that we could relax at the end of the day. One of the main features in here is the hearth and the fireplace. When we were doing the build, we asked the builder whether he'd be keen on trying to do this for us. He'd never done one before and was happy to take it on. In hindsight, probably should have formed it in situ, but he didn't. He built it and then offered it up. As they were bringing it in and putting it in place, disaster struck and it cracked. The builder, being the builder, had plenty to get on with. So it was left to us to try and repair it and sort it. I took on the challenge and spent many days sanding and polishing, and you wouldn't even know that there was a crack there. It worked out fine in the end. What I do love about this hearth is that it's not that perfect piece of concrete. It's not beautifully polished. It's got detail. It's got flaws. It's also got a story, which is a ripper. We absolutely love it. We're not precious about it all. We wanted to keep a nice, cozy feel in here. We've chucked in heaps of soft textiles and layering, including the rug, which not only breaks up the space, but also anchors the furniture here and helps us own the area. Something else that we've introduced into this room to give it some character is the paneling. There are so many butte types of paneling around, but I want to go for something that was more in keeping with that Scandi feel. So we've gone for a wide shiplap paneling here. I reckon it really helps to add depth and interest in the room, but without making it too fussy. Little touches like the shelf. Again, we can have our personal items on there. It's a grouse way to style things up. You can change the feel of the room with soft furnishings. In the autumn, we might have these sorts of colors and tones, but in the summer, we might lighten that up with some greens. I reckon having that neutral palette really helps when you want to inject some freshness. Lastly, on the ground floor, there's just one more room to show you. This is a room that we designed as a flexible space. Really, initially, we thought it would be grouse to future-proof ourselves and have a room that we could have as a bedroom and a shower room, which is adjacent to it, if ever we needed ground floor living. Of course, we're not actually at that stage yet, thank goodness. So, in the meantime, we're using this as our little breakout space. We have yoga in here. We do our workouts in here. It's also become the plant hospital for any of the plants that aren't doing so well around the house. So, please don't look too closely. These are still in intensive care, these plants. This is a shower room that I mentioned. This always takes people a bit by surprise when they come in here because compared to the rest of the house, which is all light and airy and neutral, in here, we've gone for a dark, moody feel. Always a talking point is the black blue, which some people absolutely love and some people absolutely hate. Using warm brass fittings and hardware, and the textured tiles really stops this room from looking cold. The house was really designed around this view. We always knew that the view of the Shropshire Hills was something that we wanted to drag into the house. And this window frames it perfectly. It was a mammoth feat to get it in. It's 3M square. It took about 4 or 5 blokes and a crane to get it up there. I absolutely love this view. It's a real pause moment when we come to the top of the stairs. It's like an ever-changing piece of artwork. I absolutely love watching the seasons change through this window. Even on a daily basis, it changes. Building your own home gives you an opportunity to be able to include features that you wouldn't normally see in homes. I really wanted to have some great circulation space here. I reckon it can be undervalued. And it really does help the rooms connect and flow and gives a sense of calm to the space. Coming from the landing, we come into our upstairs living room. The beauty of building your own home is that you can cobble together spaces that work for you. For us, we didn't want to waste these amazing views on a bedroom where we wouldn't have spent much time and we wouldn't have got to see them. Having an upstairs living room is a ripper way for us to enjoy these views and connect with outside. We wanted to keep this room pretty understated. At the end of the day, we don't want it to compete with the view. The view is the most important thing. We've gone pretty pared back in here again with a neutral color tone. We've chucked in some nice soft furnishings and some layering. We've also managed to add a small balcony, which is a ripper little space. It's a grouse place to sit and have a cup in the mornings or a cheeky GNT in the evenings. And we can just sit and enjoy the views. Guest room. And we want to create a welcoming and relaxing environment in here. These rooms are all at the back of the house. So we have dormer windows, floor-to-ceiling dormer windows. Again, every space has that view out somewhere. It's also created this slope in the ceiling, which I reckon really adds some character. Along with that, we've also got the glulam beam, which runs throughout the whole of the side of the house as well. This beam is actually a structural beam. It's part of the SIP's roof. So, rather than hiding it away, we really wanted to let it have its moment to shine. I reckon it really adds some character and depth to this room. Another way of adding character, which you often need in a new build, is the paneling. This is just an MDF paneling that we had routed out. I always get asked on Instagram what color this wall is. This is Slate Lime Deep from Little Green Paint Company. This bed is another thing that I always get asked about a lot on my Instagram account. It's pretty old, actually, but I do love it. It's a really nice linen textured headboard. Following through with that to create that nice coziness environment in here. We've used heaps of textures, soft textiles, wools, cottons, linens, and a really nice bed throw. This bed throw is gorgeous. It's from house number 9 and it's a beauty. Again, we got all the engineered oak flooring throughout the whole of the upstairs, but we've softened that by using sheepskins and hides. As a guest room, I reckon it's important to make your guests feel at home. So, we've got little touches like bathrobes. I always like to have a little basket of goodies here. Essentials that guests might have forgotten, like shampoos and toothbrushes and things like that. It all goes together to make that warm, inviting space that guests can feel relaxed in. Now, I'm going to take you into the main bedroom. Just on the right here is the guest bathroom. And we wanted somewhere we could retreat to at the end of the day. Somewhere that was calm and relaxing. We've gone with a very neutral color palette in here. But we've warmed it up with soft textiles. Again, we got cottons and velvets, which I love at this time of year. And a lovely, deep, luxurious bed throw. As with the guest room, we paneled this wall. But rather than going for a full height panel, we've just done a half height and added a little shelf, which I reckon works a treat in here. It's not an overly generous room, so it's nice to have somewhere to put our little treasures. Again, it's a beauty for styling up and adding seasonal touches. So, if we want to change it up for the spring or summer or autumn, we can always just change things and move things around. We don't have a lot of space for a large bedside table here, and I didn't want to clutter the space up with table lamps. So instead, I went with these lovely drop pendant lights, which give a really nice glow. I reckon they add a bit of character to the room as well. At the same time, it keeps that bedside table nice and clear for all the things that we actually want to put on there. Again, we have a large picture window here connecting us to the outside. It's a beauty place to wake up in the morning. We open the blind. We never know what's going to be out there. A beaut sunny day, or like today, where it's not looking quite as glamorous. Even still, it's a grouse way to wake up in the morning. When it gets properly hot and sunny in here, it can get quite warm, and the sun can be a real stinger. So, we recently bunged in these foil curtains, which have been a ripper at blocking out the harsh sunlight. Plus, I reckon they add a nice, soft, feminine touch to the room, too. Another thing I always get asked about on Instagram is the light fitting. It's actually just an IKEA lampshade. Cheap. See those lights. probably set us back about $12 a piece. But I reckon they're grouse, the way they chuck out the light. Sort of like having a big, fluffy cloud hanging up there. We don't usually have the main light on, just the bedside lamps mostly. But when we do flick it on, it gives the room a real ripper textural feeling, you know? The last thing I want to point out is the mirror. It really opens up the space, makes it feel bigger, and gives us double view, which is bonza. So, this is our ensuite leading off the main bedroom. And we wanted it to be a real calming retreat, a sanctuary at the end of the day. Somewhere we could come and properly relax and unwind. The absolute hero of the space for me is definitely the freestanding bath. I'd always wanted a freestanding stone bath, and this is the perfect spot for it. No worries at all. And again, the view really steals the show, doesn't it? We also chucked in some light oak paneling in here to warm things up a bit. And we kept everything off the floor nice and clean. It's not a huge space by any stretch of the imagination, as well as having the floating vanity. We went for a wall-hung toilet, which, again, keeps the floor nice and clear and adds to that sense of space. And we popped some lighting behind the mirror and under the vanity unit, too. It's all about layering those lights and creating that warm and cozy feeling here, making it feel inviting, sort of like a spa vibe, really nice and relaxing. We use a large format tile in here, which is the Mandarin stone cast sand. Downstairs, we use cast white. Here, we've gone for cast sand. It's got a slightly warmer tone to it, a bit more earthy, and we've carried that on into the shower as well. For the shower screen, we wanted to inject some texture and movement into this room. So, instead of just plain glass, we went with reeded glass. I absolutely love reeded glass. I reckon it looks grouse. Everywhere if I could, I would. But the beauty of it is that it also ties in with the pocket doors that we got leading into the ensuite and the dressing room. So it keeps that flow and that cohesion of texture and movement going throughout the space. It also works a treat with the oak paneling, the vertical lines complementing each other so well. I love the way they tie in together. Mate, as well as the warm wood we've got here on the back of the vanity, we've added some little shelves, which I reckon go brilliantly with this oak, really complement each other. I love these little shelves. I do. They're from a company called Wooden, and they're called the Pelican Shelf, and they're real cute. A ripper design, very clever. And I love that they got little hidden hooks underneath, which are dead handy for hanging all your bits and bobs on. Keeps things nice and organized. Thanks a bunch. Luxury Home Show. Appreciate it. I hope you blokes enjoyed the tour. Had a good time. If you want to see more of the house, then feel free to check out my Instagram account, which is Tall Trees and Scandi Dreams. And I hope to see you soon. Catch you later. Cheers. Dave, Luxury Home Show, everyone. I'm Laura, a designer and founder of Grove, England. Welcome to my home in the Cotswolds. Glad to have you here. Come on in. She'll be right. Plenty of room.